What is going on, Lake Pro Tackle fam? Hope you're having an amazing day. If you're new, welcome in. This is Lake Pro Tackle. We got a bunch of awesome fishing tackle, JDM, swim baits, BFS, the high end. We got Megabass, G Loomis, Shimano, Daiwa. Check it all out on the website, lakeprotackle.com. This video specifically, we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite ways to catch bass, especially negative bass. We're gonna talk about that. We got flat-sided crankbaits today. So we're gonna be breaking down a couple of my favorite flat-sided crankbaits that you can find here at Lake Pro Tackle, online at lakeprotackle.com. And let's go ahead and hop into it. I can't wait for this one. You know, the flat-sided crankbait is one of my go-tos when it seems like the fish are in a negative mood. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's really three categories of how fish eat lures or how fish hunt and how fish just generally feel at all times. You know, there's a reaction bite. Most people know about it. You know, if you're throwing something fast like a trap, a rattle trap, a jerk bait, something like that, that just flies past them. They can't help it. They gotta go up and eat it. The other one is going to be a hunger bite where they're actively feeding. If you think of like herring fish or smallmouth specifically, you know, these fish travel around actively looking for food and willing to move a greater distance to go get your lure. The other one is a territorial bite where, especially in the spawn time, or if you've got a big, hungry, just territorial largemouth, a big female that has an area like a brush pile or a certain piece of structure or cover that they like to sit around and don't want any other things in their area, they are going to be very territorial towards anything in that area. So the territorial bite is a mix of reaction and hunger where they're just really curious a lot of the time and they have to go check your stuff out. Now, when it comes to the territorial bite or the hunger bite, a lot of those are positive feeding responses. When it comes to the negative feeding response, I always find that typically the flat-sided crankbait is something that gets them to eat when otherwise they typically wouldn't actually go after that lure. And some of the strengths of the flat-sided crankbait include being a little bit more finessey, putting off a little bit less wake, sometimes less sound, and overall seem to get bit when the fishing gets really tough. When I can't just throw a normal square bill or a DT crankbait or a Little John, or not Little John, what's it called? Rock crawler, something like that. I have a Little John in front of me here. We're going to talk about that as well. But we've got, let's see, 7 different flat-side crankbaits that are some of my personal favorites. Each one has their, you know, unique strength, body style, bill style, hook style, and we've got some rods to match it at the end of the video. So if you're curious of an amazing cranking rod overall, definitely stay tuned till the end here. But let's go ahead and hop into the lures here. So first off is going to be the IMA shaker. Now this bait here is actually relatively new to me. Let me pull it up to the camera for y'all. This right here, the IMA shaker, you're gonna really see the unique body style of this lure. It's got this really great shad profile that tapers down quite a bit in the back section. Another key feature of this IMA shaker, it is almost completely flat. Everything about this lure stays within the same profile, and then the bill is going to be tapered extremely. You're gonna see it's much wider at the base here. It's gonna be a circuit board lip, which is very common in most flat-sided crankbaits, and it's going to be that very thin material as well. Now, what does this do for the performance on the water? And another thing about this internally, it's not a balsa bait, but it reacts very similar to balsa. It has a singular weight transfer system in it, and it's a single ball BB in there, nice big one. So casting this is very, very simple. Now, some of the unique things about the IMA shaker that I really enjoy, with that very, very flat, uniform body style and this oversized bill at the bottom, what this does is it creates a little bit of a wave motion passing through that bait. And this bait, the reason it's called the IMA shaker is it freaking shakes left to right very, very hard, a lot more than your traditional flat-sided crankbait. So this one here has a little bit more action and a little bit more movement, but this sucker thumps. So if you've got fish that aren't gonna be eating a traditional square bill, like a 1.5, 2.5, that has a lot of body roll and just a big, just crazy left to right action, hunting action, this guy right here tracks very, very straight, but all that action from the bill and the body gets translated into that tail wobble, and it does an amazing, amazing job at keeping down in the rocks. This is one that I found that I can really slow roll extremely well, and it feels almost like a chatterbait when I reel it in because it's just thumping down there. That body just bonk, 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 crushing through those rocks, does a great job. And another great thing about this one is on a scale of does it get hung up to not, this thing does not get hung up nearly as much as a lot of the other crankbaits out there. I don't know the exact size hooks on here, but these are pretty good stock hooks. I would definitely have a little bit lighter rod, and we'll talk about some of those later on. So that right there, I'm a shaker, really, really great one. This crankbait here has caught more 7 to 9 pounders than any other crankbait in my box. And I discovered this one about 3, maybe 4 years ago. This one here is the JACKALL BLING 55, coming in at 2.2 inches, 5/16 ounce. This guy right here is a lipless crankbait with a bill. It is extremely loud. It's got probably 3 or 4 little BBs in there, and this one does not have a weight transfer system, unfortunately. Very similar though to the I'm a Shaker, of course flat-sided, but it has a very pronounced body style from the side, and then the top profile, it is still going to be pretty flat. However, there's a little bit wider body on this guy, and you're also going to get a lot more taper on the underbelly as well as a little bit on the top. The I'm a Shaker is built more like a rectangle. This one here is going to have a little bit more curve. The bill is going to be coated, so the bill is actually very, very strong, very durable, and you can see this one is not as pronounced of an angle or taper. This one stays relatively pretty, you know, not too much taper on it. So one of the things I really enjoy. This one also comes with pretty good hardware. The hooks are a little thick for my personal liking, especially with some of the more moderate rods. But the Bling 55, the strength in this guy comes in the rattle, I feel like, especially in the springtime and the late fall time, when a lot of these fish are chasing shad backs in coves, around creek channel bends, stuff like that, rocky transition areas. The rattle can make all the difference. I really love rattling square bills, especially the 1.5 DRSs from Lucky Craft. And when it comes to just wanting a little bit more finessey action, something that doesn't hunt as much, the Bling 55 has been there for me. You know, this one here, I believe this is like Dark Thunder is the color. That is Dark Thunder. This is a great natural forage color. It's got a little bit of green, black back, pearl on the belly and main body. They also make an amazing fire craw color, dark craw color, SG thread fin, all absolutely wonderful. And if you custom paint like little crankbaits like this, I have a little unique color that I really want to get done. So let me know, holler at me, and I want to get a couple custom painted ones. So drop a comment down below. I'll reach out to you or shoot me an email, something like that. But the Bling 55, trust me guys, I'm going to pop some pictures up around here. I have caught so many 7, 8s, 9s, so close to a 10 pounder actually on one. I caught a 989, or no, 939 last year, and absolutely incredible crankbait. I like changing the hooks out, but that is another topic for another day. So we got the Bling 55 from JACKALL. Next up here, this is the SPRO Little John 50. Now, unlike the Bling, this guy right here doesn't really have any rattle at all. And, you know, I think SPRO and the guys that work on the SPRO crankbaits, you know, a lot of these guys are Ozark style guys, Clearwater guys that grew up throwing the wiggle warts, the original wiggle warts, the original Rapalas, and they really like to get that balsa action out of their ABS baits, like the rock crawlers, the Little Johns. This guy right here is the Little John 50, so a little bit smaller. You're gonna see here it has a very pronounced, what seems like obtuse body compared to some of the ones we've already looked at. This guy also comes with a little bit wider body style, just like the Bling, very similar in overall width, but this one has a little bit of a tapered circuit board lip. You're gonna see there, it is very wide at the bottom, circular at the bottom as well. So this one has a great hunting-ish action where it has a little bit of a wide movement, but it is staying very, very tight. And one of the great things about the Little John is casting distance, very similar to the I'm a Shaker, which is going to be a little bit more hollow sounding. This guy right here has almost no rattle. It has a tungsten ball in there coated with kind of like rubber essentially, but casting this is an absolute breeze. You can sling this an extremely, extremely long way. I absolutely hate the stock hooks on here. Very, very small. I like to put the EWGs on, talked about it in some videos. A little bit bigger hooks on this guy here, but the smaller hook you put on each of these baits, the more action they're gonna have a lot of the time. So in terms of the overall color schemes, they have great color schemes. I absolutely love the chartreuse and blue, especially when it gets ultra, ultra cold. And then especially in the springtime, go into something like a craw color. Fall time, shad patterns, chartreuse and blue works great. You can even get them on craw patterns here and there, but I definitely suggest staying in these shad profiles. Now, one of the other things, and not issues I have a lot of the time with the circuit board lips here, is that these seem to wear down a lot faster for me than anything like the I'm a Shaker or the Bling especially. These are very, very thin circuit board lips compared to a lot of these other ones, and they shave down quite a bit. So extended use really diminishes the overall action that the Little John has here for me. But absolutely incredible. Casting distance is a big plus. Change them hooks out and you'll have a wonderful time. Next up, coming in at a very good price, $9.99. This is the Strike King Chick Magnet. They actually have two different models. They have the Chick Magnet and the Chick Magnet Junior. And I have caught a lot of big bass on this guy right here. So we're gonna see if I can get it out of the package for y'all. Golly, they did a good job of packaging this sucker in there. Give me just a moment. All right, finally got it out. This one here is very, very unique. It's 7/16, 7 ounce, about 2-ish inches, maybe a little more. Chick Magnet, very pronounced body. You're gonna see a very big head section and then a very, very small tail section. And what this bait really excels in is search baiting. This one also has a rounded circuit board lip, which is a little bit different from a lot of the ones we've already taken a look at. You see it's very, very rounded there. The main body itself is also rounded just a little bit. There's a good chamfer to it. This one comes with not that great hardware. Again, definitely suggest changing your hooks out, but I like the hook size on this one, and hook size really affects the way this bait moves, especially with that thinner tail section. That thinner tail section, the thinner it is, the more tail action you're gonna have. And on the Chick Magnet, there's almost no tail section there. So this one here has a very good similar movement to a square bill where that head is really hunting and that tail is really flapping around in the back. You know, one of my hacks that I like to do on this guy is actually add a feathered treble hook to this, and it really diminishes a lot of that extra tail action, and it adds a little bit of a target for a lot of those fish to target in and key on. One really unique thing I really like about the Chick Magnet as well, especially in the bigger size, is being able to hunt around. Casting it is a little bit of an issue. I like to throw this on spinning equipment if I can, but we also have a few bait casters here that really excel, have a lot of moderate action that can really chuck this guy around. But having that rounded bill, that non-straight bill, really allows it to have a good overall motion as well as a decent amount of hunting action. So even if you're not focused on one key spot and you have a wide, vast area of water that you need to cover, the Chick Magnet is definitely one that you should definitely consider. Next up, I have a Megabass hoodie on, guys, but trust me, we're equal, play equal with all these brands here. This guy right here is the Sonic side, and this is one that I really didn't start throwing for quite a little bit. This one here is very unique. It's a little bit bigger in main body, very similar to the next one we're going to talk about. But the Megabass Sonic side, one of the key unique features is going to be that elongated body. It's going to have a reinforced lip as well. I'm not sure if y'all can really pick that up right in the bottom here. Little reinforced lip, and it's going to be very, very blocky. Lots of tight angles on that. You're going to see just straight lines on this bill. And another cool thing is it has a very tapered body. So the main top portion here extends out into the belly and gets wider the farther down you go. And one of the really unique things about the Sonic side that I absolutely enjoy is its ability to crawl down in the rocks. And this is something that I think Megabass and the guys that create and design the Megabass lures really care about. You know, I hate breaking off $20 crankbaits, $25 crankbaits. The Megabass Z series crankbaits, the Super Zs, I can crawl those suckers down in the just nastiest of rock. Same deal with this guy right here. The Sonic side is an ATV, just all-terrain crankbait, and it gets down there and it does a wonderful job at, you know, crushing through as well as hunting through some of that really, really gnarly rock. It's going to have a very tight action. Even though it is hunting around, it is still very, very tight and very easy to throw as well. No rattles in it. It's basically hollow. But that is one of those other key unique things is there's absolutely no sound and it's all feel and vibration. That little bit tapered body is going to add, again, a little bit of added action on there. And just, I can't say enough good things about the Sonic side. One of my absolute favorites. Next up here, this is one of the more relatively new crankbaits from Berkley. This is going to be the FRITTSIDE, and I'm not even going to try to get this one out. Once these open up, they're so hard to get out. But this is the FRITTSIDE 5 Big End, so a little bit bigger body, smaller bill. You can see a little bit rounded on the actual bill section at the bottom, straight lined all the way up. So a good overall profile. This one dives, they say, 2 to 5 foot. I'm going to say that's pretty accurate, especially on really, really light line. You can get this down a little bit deeper. They're saying it is going to be 3/7 of an ounce. So a little bit under ½ ounce, a little bit harder to throw. This one here does have a little bit of a rattle just kind of from the hooks and split rings, but basically hollow, very similar to the Sonic side here. Now, if you remember, Edwin Evers used to be on the Megabass team, and I wonder why they came out with something like a FRITTSIDE here. Well, David Fritz, of course, had a big deal in designing this, but, you know, very similar, that elongated body on this one. And I guess the main thing they changed was that bill, very, very wide, going into a very, very small taper. What that is going to add is, again, a little bit more of that side-to-side tail action, and its skinny tail is going to allow it to really have a lot of that just exaggerated action at the very end. One of the strengths that I find in the FRITTSIDE is that you can still use really, really heavy line. It doesn't blow out super easy. If you use heavier line on the Chick Magnet or the Bling or the I'm a Shaker, these all tend to blow out with anything over 14-pound line, 14-pound fluorocarbon. I find that even with thicker line, and maybe it's because this was designed off of like trilene or something, you know, normal 15-pound line doesn't really blow it out. And sometimes, you know, you can even throw like 17-ish and still get away with it. So that is one of the strengths. A little bit harder to throw, even though it is close to that ½ ounce range. You know, something like the Little John and the Bling, these guys are 7/16 of an ounce, I believe. And actually, a Bling's 5/16, but it has a lot of carry on it. Very good aerodynamics. And that's something else we haven't talked about either. But overall, FRITTSIDE, pretty great lure overall if you're just looking for something to throw out, reel back, very minimal just overall sway action, but it has a great, nice, tight wobble. All right, next up, this is a OG. This is going to be a Slim 6. Now going kind of opposite design of a lot of the lures we've already talked about. This guy right here, very pronounced elongated body compared to the bill. And we're also gonna have one of the first full rounded bills that we've taken a look at. This guy right here is more of a springtime flat-sided crankbait for me. This one here is gonna be balsa, and we also do have some flat-sided black label balsa that we have up on the bargain bin as well as sale page that you can check those out. But again, the balsa, very tight, very finessey, and this Slim 6 is going to be one of my favorites. They make other slim models, but this one, in conjunction with all the other ones we've talked about, in that same body style as well as size and depth range. So that circular bill, what that is going to do is really allow it to hunt more traditionally like a square bill. There's gonna be a lot more action side to side, which I really enjoy. This is a great spring crankbait. When you need to hunt around and really cover that left to right, this is going to be a great one for y'all. This one has a little bit of a taper to the main body going down from the top, and they make a decent color range from just typical like citrus shad to some great ones like old school, craw of course. The hooks on this one, not a big fan of, really thick. Typically when you're throwing flat-sided crankbaits in the spring or the fall time, you know, those fish's mouths are really hard, really either gummy or just hard to get a hook in them. Definitely change out the hooks and even the split rings on these. I'm not a big fan of the split rings on this one or the Strike King Chick Magnet. They bend really easy. Same thing with the Ima Shaker. The split rings on this are very weak. If you do hook into just an absolute giant fish, you will notice them to start opening up just a little bit. But nonetheless, that completes our list here of crankbaits, flat-sided crankbaits. Let's talk about some rods, because I have really expanded my rod lineup lately, and I can't wait to talk about it. I really like talking about kind of each of the unique things about each of these rods here. So let's go ahead and talk about it. And if you stopped me at Lake Louisville the other day, I think we had little over, or maybe around 15-ish pounds. We caught a ton of fish all night. I think the biggest one I boat flipped was like a 4.5-ish, something like that. But lots of like 2.5, like high 2 to 3 pounders. So thank you for stopping me. I appreciate you. Thank you for checking out the channel. This guy right here was on my deck. One of my all-time favorite crankbait rods now. And this is the Kage B series. Came out last year. Top seller for us. Now, unfortunately, they did go up in price, but I think it's still justifiable for $259. These suckers right here, they started off at $200. Absolutely incredible deal. This is going to be the 7-foot cranking rod. So this is an MRB. This sucker right here. Look how thin this blank is. Like, this is your handle, and look at the blank. It is ultra thin. You know, when I first looked at this rod, I was like, oh, that's like a jerkbait stick or like a BFS rod. No, trust me, guys, this is a absolutely amazing cranking rod. And of course, it's named the crank rod. But look at this bend. And for those of you that love when I bend these rods here, trust me, when you set the hook, there's not near as much pressure, or you know, there's way more pressure than me bending a rod like this. They're made to bend, guys. Come on. But this has a full, pretty much parabolic action all the way to the back half of the rod and even into the last eyelet. This one here technically rated for 1/4 to 5/8 of an ounce. So this will cover and throw anything in the series extremely well. The more bend and parabolic action you have in a rod really allows you to really store the potential energy, especially of a bait that is harder to cast, and really throw it all at that cast point and dump all that energy and allow you to actually get a good cast with those extremely light lures. Now, This is rated up for 5/8 of an ounce. I have thrown some bigger lures on this. This is only 7 foot, but I have thrown a deep 6 on this, and it handled it really well. Little bit light, and a lot of that goes towards just the amount of water that deep 6 is putting off. This is my all-time favorite bling rod, my all-time favorite I'm a shaker rod, and I want something a little bit more powerful when it comes to the sonic side and the Little John. So let's talk about one that has a little bit more power to it. And again, I know it's all relative, so guys, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments, as well as just message me or call the store guys. We're gonna help you out just like you're in the store here, talk you through a couple rods. So next up, this is going to be the 6'10" medium glass X-Pride. Tactical bassing guys absolutely love these things. I love these things. A little bit thicker blank system, and it also utilizes, with the X-Prides, Spiral X. So these guys really snap back, or have a little bit more faster snap back than most typical rods, but what that's doing is keeping your blank in line to ensure you have really, really great casts. And this is something I really didn't understand. You know, moving from like Daiwa technology all the way up to like a lot of the G Loomis line that doesn't have the Spiral X, these guys right here, the X-Prides, the Poison Adrenas, the Poison Ultimas, these are all very just, oh, how do I put it? Like compressed rods where all the energy that you put into casting and reeling is really put into that singular point when you do cast. So this is a medium. It has a very soft tip section, and with that glass compositeness, it does bend deeper into the blank, but does stiffen up into the last guide. Absolutely love this for a lot of the bigger crankbaits just because of that little bit extra backbone in there. Rated specifically for quarter up to 1 ounce, and that is the main reason why the Sonic side throws much better. A lot of the reason the Little John throws much better, especially with good, easy casting, just dense feeling baits. This one here has enough of that backbone to really launch them and get you maximum casting distance. All-time customer favorite, 6'10" medium glass. This is an incredible one. And in conjunction with that, we're going to talk about the big brother to it, and that is going to be the 7'2". This one here, if you're going for maximum casting distance and you have some other crankbaits that you want to throw, let's say like a lipless crankbait in a 1/2 ounce, or even something a little bit higher than that's variety, same deal, same action, just a little bit longer rod, a little bit more powerful too, not rated down to a quarter, but rated from 3/8 to 1.5 ounces. This is a halfway decent, I feel like, chatterbait rod, especially if it's like a thinner hook, maybe 3/8 of an ounce, and it really has a little bit more heft. So a lot of these flat-sided crankbaits, I typically try to get a lot of casts on a singular spot or specific target. And with it being 7'2" and being a glass composite, this isn't one that I typically recommend, but if you want a rod that is just able to throw almost all crankbaits, this is going to be a great option for you. A little bit too heavy for a lot of my fast roll casts and frequent roll casts, but this is going to be a great one. 7'2", medium, heavy glass. Next up, in a new line that we just got in pretty recently, this one here is going to excel at the lighter crankbaits here. Now, you're not going to get as much casting distance out of it, but this one right here is going to be the medium, extra fast, 6'8" Legend X2 from St. Croix. This guy right here has a great ultra, I'm talking ultra soft tip, and then you're going to be led into a little bit of a backbone and a still really good parabolic action on it. This one specifically rated for quarter to 5/8. I think you could go down to 3/16 on this one very comfortably. Not that I believe any of these are 3/16, but if you're looking for something to throw that even smaller crankbait than this, maybe like a 1.0 style crankbait, just ultra, ultra small, this will throw it absolutely incredible. I like to have, again, on all of these, anywhere from 10, sometimes even 8. 8-pound on the I'm a Shaker, 8-pound on the Chick Magnet does absolutely incredible. 8 to 12-pound line, and I've fallen in love with the Defiant Soft Cast. That stuff is incredible. But This one right here, medium power, extra fast action, super soft tip. And this gives you very high precision when casting, when you're making those small roll casts, or even when you're loading back and throwing just a good distance, like 35 to 40 yards, 100 feet. This rod is ultra light as well. I'm talking feather light. You can fish all day with this. Pair this up with a 70, maybe 100 size reel, and you will have an absolute blast, guys. 100%. This is going to be one of those comfort rods that you use when you want to go out, just have fun fishing. Next up is going to be the Orochi X10 Rapid Viper. Very similar to that X10 there. This guy comes in at 6'10", rated for quarter to 5/8. Very similar in action and tip section to that St. Croix. This one is going to have a little bit extra parabolic action leading into the middle of the guide train. So it is going to have not a super soft tip, but a very soft, really front section of the rod leading into a decent amount of backbone. This is going to throw those ultra hard to throw lures very, very well. Chick Magnet Junior, the Bling. This is an incredible bling rod, especially pairing it with a little bit heavier line, such as like 11 to 12 pounds. It is a very good, like, opposite feeling style, but it gets the job done. That little bit heavier line really throws a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about a lot of the birds nesting and stuff like that. That heavier fluorocarbon does amazing on this rod here. Now, I think the line rating specifically on this one, let's see, it's 8 to 18. Again, guys, that 8 to like 12 pound is just absolutely incredible. Rapid Viper is one of our best sellers. This is a great 110 junior rod as well. So if you're looking for something to like translate into like smaller jerk baits or stuff like that, this is absolutely incredible. I love the handle design on this rod, and I love how minimalistic it is. Very feather light. I think this one has a little bit more counterbalance in the back of the rod compared to the St. Croix. The St. Croix is a little more tip style heavy. Not that it's heavy at all, but it just seems to lean more towards the tip with the St. Croix. And I think a lot of that goes into the epoxy blank on that one. This X10 and basically all the Megabass rods are going to be non-sanded blanks, and absolutely incredible X10. Last one on the list, and I'm sure most of you can probably guess what this one is. This is going to be the Z-Crank P5 Destroyer from Megabass. This rod here is going to be 7 foot, and it's going to be quarter to 3/4 ounce, 8 to 16 pound line. Very similar to basically all of their cranking style rods. Has a very, again, ultra soft section at the front of the rod, leading into a good amount of backbone. Extremely similar to that Rapid Viper there. This one here is going to be a treble hook, just extraordinary rod. And especially with treble hooks, you don't need that supreme sensitivity that you're getting out of some of the bottom contact rods, like the Mind Blank, something like a whip snake or a a lot of the moving bait rods are not going to be, I'm going to say, as sensitive as a lot of the bottom contact rods, especially in the P5 or X10 line, but these are still ultra sensitive, ultra light as well. This one here, I know they used a little bit different blank construction when making the cranking style rods. This one, when it comes to casting distance, this thing loads extremely well, throws every single one of these extremely well as well. I've said well a lot. The Slim 6, Little John, the I'm a Shaker, you can get like 120 yard casts, easy peasy. This one right here, 7 foot, one of my all-time like favorite lengths for just general purpose cranking. And comparing it to something like the Kage, which is also 7 foot, these two have very similar actions. And maybe Daiwa took some inspiration on this P5 here, very similar in terms of just overall movement and stuff like that. So if you've got the crank rod and you want an upgrade, definitely check out the Z-Crank from Megabass and the P5 Destroyer line. But guys, my voice is going out. My buddy Pete just pulled up. We're gonna film some videos, do a little bit of like a open discussion, so be on the lookout for that. I can't wait to get these in your hands. So we got Black Friday coming up next month, or I guess this month, and you know, be on the lookout for that sale. We're gonna be able to help you out as much as we can for that, and we've got a bunch of cool stuff planned for Christmas time. So be on the lookout, follow social media, Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you next time here at Lake Pro Tackle. See you guys.